Hello and welcome to the Cooper Brunner podcast. I am your host, Cooper Brunner. We have a great episode for you guys today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Make today count. Welcome everybody to the Cooper Brunner podcast. I am your host, Cooper Brunner. I got my colleague and partner here, Brandon Shroyer, co-hosting, and we have the Amazon seller guru, Scott Needham, on the podcast. I'm really excited for this episode. And really just talk about what's going on now in our culture, and we're dealing with the COVID, and want to ask Scott a lot of questions in regard to how he's handling his businesses. Don't want to steal his thunder, so I want to have him talk a little bit about his background. So Scott, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey,
man.
Thank you guys so much. And, always happy to talk Amazon. Last night I was with my niece, who I hadn't seen in about almost 2 years, because she was overseas actually. And I started talking Amazon with her at 10 p.m. I was like, hey, you got to take your family business here, and you got to like you can really grow, because one thing that's clear about e-commerce right now is, you can work your butt off in a retail store, grow your sales 5-10%, but the opportunity in e-commerce is you work your butt off, you could double your business. So I mean, that's why there's excitement. That's why we're here. I didn't really actually give an intro yet, so I'll jump back into that. So I am the CEO of BuyBoxer. We're an Amazon seller, but then from there we've grown into many different things. We ended up building a tech company spinoff, and we sold it last year in 2019, and then we're working on other things. We have an agency, BuyBoxer Services, and then I'm releasing some other software tools. Maybe even have a release in the next week or two of a totally new SaaS product. It's only for specific types of sellers. What it is kind of a map of Amazon. With a few different perspectives, to see okay, which brands does Amazon sell, and do they keep them in stock very well? Where are the FBA sellers at? Are they Lego or these other brands? But there's thousands of brands, and this is just, I think it's for some people that really want to see this very valuable. Then maybe even people that are buying and selling businesses, they can see what traction is going on. So hopefully it takes off. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'll be talking at plenty there. Shoot, but I've already said way too much. That's all over the place, but I'm really excited because both Cooper and Brandon are private label sellers. I think you guys have all the upside of an e-commerce business. You own your own brand. Right now, there is so much attention. I get hit up regularly with and I just know that there's new money in this space that are looking to buy private label businesses, and it's not going to go away because of people aren't going to be investing in retail right now with COVID. Brands that can be direct to consumer and that they own kind of the whole, it's the product, it's their trademark. If you can build some beachfront property on Amazon, people want that. It's super valuable.
Absolutely. I want to take a few steps though back and talk a little bit about your coding experience, right? You have tons and tons and tons of experience, and you've built out most of your business through your own coding.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
So my brother was selling in 2013, and the problems that he was having, I just knew that he needed a software developer. There weren't tools back then. There wasn't Jungle Scout. There wasn't, a lot of things. And so we built things from the ground up, probably narrowly minded that we only built it for ourselves. I'd probably be sitting in a different position financially if I built those tools with everyone in mind. But there's a lot of data and optimization that you can make with technology. Amazon has an API. There's actually other APIs out there. And, sometimes people, depending on what type of business they are in, you don't necessarily need to code because of the amazing tools that are out there. we've already mentioned a few. And one thing that, I talk a lot about is how and when to implement technology. Implementing technology is how your business is going to be different, in a month's time. Like it's in one way, it's how you work your own role out of the business. And that means you're gonna redefine yourself. You're gonna find new ways. Say you are, you spend a lot of time doing, your finance or your inventory management, and there's plenty of tools. And even an Excel sheet, like a really well thought out Excel, can be like technology, because it's helping. You're spending less time next month as you are this month on it. So. I've had years of implementing technology. There's some that like works for our business and some that does not. And
what are some examples of ones that have just been terrible, like that you've implemented and just disastrous?
Well, I've gone through like 3 or 4 advertising platforms, and like the truth is they're all good. It's just they always left me something lacking, like they didn't do something that I want. I've currently moved to Perpetua, and it's actually the one that I'm the most passionate about, in that it forces me to think like an advertiser, and it does a lot of the campaign automation for me. I mean, how cool is it if you're familiar with the tool? How cool is it that like there's a spot where like you can put in competitors, you can target competitors, like you could throw in a competitor or take them out, like at the snap of a finger, and you don't have to go into like any of your campaign keywording structure and like pause them one at a time. But this helps you roll out a very robust, competitive campaign with just a few seconds. So that's that's a great example. But not to knock it, like any bid optimization software is definitely going to be really good. And I'm sure, hopefully there are good competitors to Perpetua. Then another example, I guess, there's the keywording tools. There's like, Jungle Scout, Helium 10, Merchant Words. I've used all 3. And I think I've moved towards between Helium 10 and Merchant Words. I think those are
really no Jungle Scout anymore for you, or is that?
Yeah. They're the first to market, and they're really good, and they're building a lot of features. But here's what happened. Our subscription ran out, and I found out I just didn't need it,
we use Jungle Scout right now just for Brandon will help us with reviews, just auto send emails for reviews, and that's been pretty effective for us on our bottles.
The thing is all of these companies, you could do a podcast on all of these companies by themselves. They're actually starting to like get feature parity where they all do kind of the same thing. I know that like, Helium 10's rolled out an email review kind of tool. And, they're getting really good. I think you just got to find, one that does what you care the most about, and it does it the best, and then just then buy in on that. I think I like Jungle Scout's product rank tracker a little bit more. The way that like you say, your product is, say it's number 6 on a search term, and you want to see how it goes up and down over time. I like Jungle Scouts a lot. So,
at the end of the day, it does also come down to price point too, especially with Perpetua. Before we even like went all in on Perpetua, we actually met with a few other companies. I won't say them on here, but there were a few out there, and some of them were just price point outrageous, like double the price of Perpetua. And thanks to you listening to your podcast on having the CEO of Perpetua on there explaining what he does and why it's so beneficial, it was a no-brainer. Like everyone is doing pretty much the same thing. Granted, maybe the platforms are easier to use for some people. Like Brandon, me and I off the record, we were talking about why we chose Perpetua, and the platform itself was just easier, and it just made more sense for us. But price point is huge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the thing is you got to think about what is this technology accomplishing for you? And like, say if you were to try and build it yourself, how much would that cost? I did build a bid optimizer, still use it for one sliver portion of our business, but but I just realized I'm not going to be a team of people, who are iterating and the newest tool rolls out, say sponsor brands video. Now Perpetua's ready, they jumped on it, and I don't have time to do all that. So, renting someone else's technology is always, a strength. And, if you're a small business, they usually don't cost that much,
right. It's not.
$50 a month, $100 a month. Like that's small compared to if you were to be paying an employee to be doing that.
Yeah. And it comes down to efficiency. Like you were saying on the podcast, I was just tuning in your tips on scaling your business, delegating. I mean, I'm saving Brandon, who's running our Amazon ads, so much time. And the reality is Amazon is getting to such a complex level from the algorithm standpoint that even a single person that might know a lot about the platform can't be doing bid changes so efficiently to the point where you have so many ASINs that you're dealing with. Like I can't imagine for you, 80,000 plus, I don't know what you're at right now with products, but you just can't do it anymore. You need a machine AI to help optimize your efficiencies.
Yeah. You said a few things that are easy to expand on. As simple like delegating is obviously another way to work yourself out of the business. You get people that do what they do really well, and you're paying them to do it, but it saves your time, which should be the most valuable part of your business. Like your time, you should be thinking about it and making sure that you're doing high value things. I decided that I'm not going to be a web developer. In terms of the front end, I'm going to hire someone to do that. And so I could focus on what I'm better at. I understand the data behind. And so I want to work with that, make sure our databases are in sync, and then pay someone to do that front end and save me, tens of hours and lots of headache. Here's a simple tool that I've been using a lot the last 2 months. It's that is related to this. It's called Loom. Are you familiar with Loom?
No, how do you spell it?
Loom.
Loom. Okay, I'll have to look.
I started using it about 2 months ago, and I know I've influenced about 5 to 10 people on my team. Now they start using it regularly. It creates, you can create quick videos. Say, you want to show a client or whatever, an advertising campaign. You can create a 60-second video. You're talking, you're jumping in, and you're showing, not writing down in an email. And then you can kind of start to build a catalog. Like say you want to do standard operating procedures. Well, Loom is better than writing it down because
you talked about that on the recent podcast. Now that I think about it, you were bringing up how this helps you you get the video done. Especially for me, I'm doing system and processes for our company in regards to machinery and how to do XYZ for our purchase orders. But you get it done and then set it and forget it. Now you don't have to.
Yeah. And there's one thing that I think is an underlooked feature about something like Loom. So we could record this video right here and put it on YouTube, but actually posting it on YouTube takes 2 minutes to upload, 10 minutes for maybe the data to go through. That's time that I don't want to spend. Loom, the moment you're done recording, you have a link that you can share.
Wow.
And
it's powerful.
It's that extra minute that I don't want to spend in terms of cause you're anytime you're waiting on your computer to do something, your mind is spinning and it's kind of a little anxious. And you're like, I'd rather be doing something more productive than watching this go through. And these are little hacks that you focus on technology and then you delegate. That's how you start to just grow your business. So it's not the same business you had previously. I'll jump into my Amazon business. We, in 2016, we actually did 60 million in revenue. Wow. In 2017, we also did 60 million in revenue. So there's been some times in my company where I I'll admit that like, the months rolled by and like, we didn't really change too much. Yeah, we were making like improvements here or there, but it wasn't like the high value stuff that when your business is beginning, you're creating things that are actually really changing the business in big ways. And, not till I started to like, practice some of these things that I'm saying, and honestly, starting a podcast also gave me a kick in the butt to like, to work harder and to be more honest about things. Like it forces me to be a journalist, but not until I was able to like, implement more technology and really delegate. Like I'm hiring people on Upwork, fairly regularly. Your mileage may vary on Upwork, but I've had just, 6 like very specific professionals that do exactly what I want, hire them. And then, and now I'm done and I've got what they had. And I've been able to like focus on what I, do better. And my business is so different, than it used to be. You guys are smart to have a show like this because I think that you could also agree that it forces you to not sit on your hands. If you have a chance to like interface with other Amazon professionals or whatever, whoever you want to talk to, but like you bring them on a podcast and like it's a learning experience both ways.
Yeah. If anything, these past, let's see, 16 months, I've been on the podcast space about 16 months. So I've literally brought it down to metrics. Like I'm hitting up 100 people a week, and then I'm anticipating maybe 25 people to respond. And then I'll get 10, maybe 5, like, yeah, let's do it. And then like right now I'm having a dilemma of, oh my God, I'm so busy with not only running 2 different brands in a business, a manufacturing business, but also scheduling everything because I need like a virtual assistant or something like that. And I listened to your podcast today and it all clicked.
This last year is the first year where I actually have to live by my calendar,
right?
Like if I want to take a day off, I have to calendar it in. Not the worst thing because it's actually nice knowing, like the organization and like it helps to be productive. That's funny that you're having a similar thing.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question. You mentioned the couple advertising tools like Perpetua and things like that, but I wanted to kind of talk to you about, some tools that I think you've done a lot of custom like coding and software yourself for your own business. But in terms of like, how do you see all of the costs and fees associated with your Amazon FBA account? And like, what tools would you recommend someone to try and use for that kind of specifically to help run their Amazon business?
Okay. So, one report that I think, this is very specific to Amazon that I think everyone should be aware of is the payments report. So, if you're looking, it's where you're looking your payments and your disbursements. There's a report there that breaks everything down one item at a time. You should just go through that once or twice. Look at like October, not October, August, and just say like what happened, and look at all the pluses and the minuses. Just make sure you understand that, so that you have an idea. Like, okay, yeah, this is roughly this. My monthly return rate costs me this much money. And one of the best tools that implements this that I know of is A2X. I am not I'm not like Cooper. I don't have a finance background. And so there's a few things that I'm still a little rough around the edges when it comes to cash flow and P&L. But A2X downloads that entire report and helps you, categorize all things a little bit differently. And if you're using QuickBooks, it has integration with that, I believe. So they've done a great job of that, and kind of a great business to be in because people don't want to like deal with finances all the time. And so, if you can make sense of those reports, that's great. You can do this on your own, or you can use a tool. But I do think it is super helpful to understand that. And I think you've asked a follow-up question regarding inventory management or
Yeah, inventory management. Yeah.
so this is one thing that I do custom, and I see most sellers, everyone has a very different approach, mainly because their manufacturing or their relationships, they're all very, very different. Is your stuff coming over from China? If it's coming from China, like, are you working with one sourcer out there or like many? And that can really change, the kind of the flow that you want to see. In those situations, you want to be seeing inventory, that's, purchased by the manufacturer, stuff that's on the ocean, and stuff that's like past customs, but like you just like want to see these stages. Very important. But that's so different than someone that's manufacturing it in their backyard or in their, in their own factory.
Right.
Or it's different from our first business where we were, a retailer. We were buying from suppliers, receiving it at our warehouse, and sending it back into Amazon. And so we built a custom tool, a private label seller that's my cousin. He has done, he does about 4 million a year, very successful. He uses Airtable to kind of show the different inventory as it's coming along, because when you have 3 months from when you order a product with your manufacturer to actually getting it received, you need to sell the whole thing so you can continue to forecast as things move up and down. I know that, Scubana is one of the best tools for inventory management. I've seen a demo, haven't lived it, and there's probably like 10 other tools. I think you should do a trial of 2 or 3, find the one that you like the most, and go with it. There isn't a one size fits all, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another specific kind of Amazon question I had to do with reimbursements. And I know that I listened to the podcast with reimbursements that you had, and I think you said you got like $250,000 back. And you actually had such good success that you started your own company, Valence Services, and you sold it recently. But I wanted to, have you talk about that and maybe some other tools and resources other sellers can have for reimbursements, because that's, the best and easiest way to get quick cash back from Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an active space. There's probably 5 to 10 companies that focus on this. There's virtual assistants that say that they know how to do it. Most of the companies charge a gain share, but let me talk about what it is first. There's Amazon touches your inventory and can lose it and damage it in 20 ways or so. And sometimes they reimburse it automatically. Sometimes they need you to point it out. And simply that is the business, is identifying where you're owed money and that Amazon has yet to do something about it. And I used a company to do this. We got a few $1,000s, but we were so big and I just knew that there was more on the table. So we kind of turned on the programming, and, I'm downloading all the reports, and one of these reimbursement types, I'm smashing together 9 reports over the last 18 months. Some of those reports you can only download 1 month at a time. So getting a lot of different data to show Amazon, hey, here's a full reconciliation. You owe us this. And, our company, that as we were building it, we were trying to achieve about an 80 to 90% success rate of receiving that money back. And it's very programmatic, which has advantages, because it's able to, we would request, even if it was like $5, we'll still send the request because that's what a computer can do. But I've seen reimbursements up to $5,000. I've seen even one at $15,000. So, because there's other ways, like where Amazon miscalculates an FBA fee, say they remeasure your product and they were charging you too much, you're able to collect on that for the last 3 months. Used to be actually the last 18 months you could collect on that type, but now they've actually changed the window to 3 months. Still money on the table. And So if there's one piece of advice I say, just do this, like realize it. You can learn this yourself. You can look at some YouTubes. I'm sure if you Google it, a lot of decent guides out there. You can hire a virtual assistant to do it. You can, or you can just have a company just handle this for you. And believe me that like, they're probably going to be better than you. And so the company that, we sold to is called Veriship. And I know that they have a team of 30 developers. They are on top of, making sure that it's exhaustive and getting every dollar that you're owed. I have found that expensive products, Amazon takes care of better. And so you may see less reimbursements there because they just handled it better, or they were more mindful of. And then we found grocery gets damaged a lot more as well. So there's some categories that do better than others. And if you've never done anything on this and you've been doing FBA for a while, we can look back 18 months, and that's how you get really big dollars is when you've never done this and you look back 18 months and then just, collect that all in 1 month.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Do you have anything else you want to ask, Brandon?
No, that's all I got for that.
I want to ask you, Scott, your opinion on, and Brandon will jump in too. He's got specific questions about this, but moving forward, what do you see or foresee in the future where Amazon is heading? Whether it be a year from now, we know that Q4, supposedly we're going to have some big news in regards to earnings, because everybody right now seems to be buying either through Amazon or other big mainstream platform on e-commerce. Want to hear your 2 cents on that and how you are adapting as well.
So, for many years, it's been making the easy decision that Amazon is going to continue to do well. But think of it from a different perspective of like, we know that e-commerce has done super well this year. Q4 is going to be like the best problem to have. It's going to be hard to keep in stock. It's going to be hard to get stuff into Amazon FBA, but the sales are going to be good. So it's kind of a good problem to have. But it's a great platform to start your brand on. I know you guys have your own brand, and you can start, you can start on Shopify. You can start in so many different ways. Each have their advantage, but the advantage of Amazon is there's 100 million shoppers ready.
Yeah.
They got their credit card ready. If you fit what they're looking for, they will come, and they will come in droves. And, if your product is really good, if it's got any, if it's got good branding, good design, it's only going to grow because, it's this flywheel effect where you get reviews. Reviews help you get, a better conversion rate, and a better conversion rate can help you get better placement. And, Amazon's algorithm, starts placing you in more locations. And once you have this proof, then you start to you can actually start to build, a brand following, people know you for something. And
right.
There's value in that. Specifically, it depends on your category, but I know grocery, repeat purchases is high because, if you have something good, you come back in a month. Or if you're I find in health and beauty, if it's really good, people share about it on, with their friends and family or on Instagram or whatever. And so, when you start to consider that, your packaging matters. You can upgrade your packaging so that it does take a better picture, and it is more likely to get, some of this organic traction. So, but to your question of where is this going? The age of direct to consumer businesses is here. And we were talking just before we recorded that, big money has figured this out, and they're buying up Amazon businesses at higher multiples than they did 3 or 4 years ago. Because now that they're seeing that this is a defensible business where, it's hard to replicate someone else's success. If you have a product with 500 reviews and it's got like good placement, someone else is going to have to pay more money to get there.
Right. And we're seeing that right now in the supplement space. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's tough.
A dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, supplements is really competitive.
We separate ourselves with our art of having slow release vitamins, but at the same time, we have people that were already 3-4 years ahead of us on the 8-ball with reviews. We have True Niagen that has over 1,300, 1,400 reviews on their 1, 2, 3 products. And so a lot of the times we've found ways to differentiate ourselves because they are immediate and we're slow release. But you're right. Like, it does come down to the small details, the packaging, the appearance, and the reviews and all these things. How do you separate yourself? Because we're not going from first movers anymore. We're really coming down to how do you value prop your customers?
Yeah, it goes back to that flywheel effect, like if you can get that good position now on Amazon, and it's funny because you get the top spot, so then you get more sales because you're at the top, right? And then Amazon puts you at the top because you get more sales, and then it's just like a cycle snowball effect from there. So if you can get a really strong positioning in your category now, it's really tough for someone to come in there and try and knock you off. And so, you're just, unless you're betting on Amazon losing in the future, if you got that top spot, it's going to be good.
Right. And if anything, consumers are only going to get more sophisticated in that, like, bringing crappy products to market isn't going to be a long-term business. You just have to have good products. You have to have good imagery. You have to, like, your brand has a story. What is that story? And the more you do the small details around it, it's an outsized reward. If you were to look at, like, say, you look at your supplement page, you type in your keyword that, like, fits you guys the most of what someone is looking for. It's a hockey stick where, like, the top 3 positions are getting 80% of the sales. And then the next 20 positions, they're all sharing and fighting over, the last 20% of sales. So if you can get these small things right, you get your conversion as high as possible, then you will start to get, like, just a hockey stick growth. Because think of, like, 21st century consumers, like people, if you've ever bought from your phone on Amazon, and if you get really comfortable buying from your phone, it starts to become such a split decision. You jump, you're only looking at the top 3. You're only considering those that have, like, 1,000 reviews, and you're barely even looking at the product. If it's the right price point of what you expect, you just hit buy. Now, every consumer is obviously different because everyone's got a different sized wallet. Some people are going to be they're going to scrutinize the details, but some of them are all just some are either going to use the social validation of these reviews and just let that dictate their purchase. So, this just iterates that, like, get these, like, small things right. Don't take shortcuts on your product, and you're gonna have a business that is in a better place year over year.
That's perfect. Well said. I'm definitely gonna re-listen to this podcast. I feel like I'm listening to a podcast by Scott Neiman right now. No, that's great. So Brandon, if you have any questions, shoot now. And then after that, I just want to hear, Scott, what you're doing now and what you have coming moving forward. Anything that you want to tell the audience. So Brandon, you got any other questions you want to ask?
No, I'm good to go.
Yeah, Scott. So what's going on? How are you doing?
I mean, what a time to be alive. I'm honestly just having a lot of fun at work. Because I'm delegating. Like, that so I feel like an architect. I've got 120 employees, and a lot of them are in distribution. And while we are making some tweaks there, I'm ordering some machinery from China right now, getting it through customs so that we can optimize our distribution. That is implementing technology, making these employees more productive. Then, I'm really divided in a lot of different ways. We are, let's see, we're trying to change our relationship with our suppliers, trying to like figure out ways that we can ask for discounts in a way that is a win-win. We tell them, and where we have 200 suppliers, this is a lot of conversations to have. So we're training that team to work on that. And then, building a new software tool. It's currently called Smart Scout. Hopefully that, I'm not sure if that name's going to stick, but I'm ready to launch it next week. Like, I hired a developer on Upwork. He's using my data backend to show a different map of Amazon. We've got this agency, and its focus is to be a kind of a brand accelerator. If people like are, I know you guys actually have some of the skills that they have, so I don't like always try and sell it. But there's plenty of brands that like, they focus just on product and they just want someone to handle Amazon for them. And we got the anything from content to advertising management, inventory management. We have those skills as well. Let's see, did I cover? Oh, and part of this agency, we're building reporting systems where you can see, there's a lot of dashboard reports out there, like Jungle Scout, Helium 10, they got like these little like, hey, here's what you've done. We want to make something a little bit more intelligent with insights on how you can react to what's going on. I'm touching every single one of those. I touch on a daily basis on top of my content. I do probably spend about an hour or two a day on content, and like I've been doing a lot more on YouTube lately. I have a editor that I finally have like made a good connection with, and I can able to make high quality videos at a very fast clip. And I continue the podcast and Instagram as is. And those, the content actually does drive attention to everything else that I just talked about.
100%.
So, I mean, anyone listening, like, if there is a space for an audience to help your business, you should consider doing exactly what we're doing right now and creating valuable stuff for listeners. So get this. I teased this tool on my Instagram yesterday. 1,600 people saw it. And I just did a story. And that's the largest audience I've seen on my stories lately. So it's growing. And, about 400 people said, yeah, I'm like super interested. So I'm launching a new product already to an audience that it's the market fit for. So everything kind of plays into each other. Building a good product helps you get an audience. Having an audience helps you build more products. So, and like I could absolutely say, where I was when I started a podcast 18 months ago, like it was hard to get attention. I had to work my butt off. I was turned into those little phone addicts, just trying to make connections with other people that were in the same space. Now, a year and a half later, things are just easier. You'll find if you continue with this podcast, like in a year's time, like things will just get easier and your audience will grow, or you'll know exactly what you need to get out of this. So
exactly.
That's my life right now. My 8 to 5, and I love it.
You got a lot going on, and I'm excited to see that software, the Smart Scout, if it sticks. But I'm excited to see where that heads. And yeah, like you were saying with your podcast, really, it all started for me as a fun tool for me to network, and from there, it's just grown exponential. These past 3 months, I've been 900 downloads, 1,200 downloads. This month, I'm probably going to break August's downloads. It's that power of compounding, really, and staying consistent. And it's been so fun. You get an audience that actually buys into you.
Well, let me help share it when you post it, like tag it on LinkedIn or whatever, and I'll reshare.
For sure, man. Well, we appreciate all the time that you've spent with us and the value that you've brought into not only us, but your audience and the podcast. Like you were saying, just putting yourself out there. We wouldn't have found you or, learned so much about Amazon and seen the success for our businesses. And so we really thank you a ton, man. Before we end this though, can you give a shout out for your platforms so people can follow you?
It's at Smartest Seller on Instagram, Smartest Amazon Seller or YouTube. And that's the same name as the podcast. Those are what I'm focusing on right now and have the time to. There's I see people doing some awesome things on TikTok and I'm like, I just don't have time.
That's a different beast.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, for tuning into the podcast. As always, make today count.